Hey everybody, this is Gary Kayye. You are watching a special edition of my Rants and Raves podcast, and of course, you recognize the guy on the other side of me over here, Joel Rollins. Joel, how are you?
Not too bad, Gary, other than, the jet lag from all this Amsterdam stuff. Actually, for those of you who are reading my blog, you know that I couldn't go this year because I'm in the middle of a big corporate headquarters install. But I decided to stay up all night and attend anyway as much as I could by video conference. And I'm going to discover if the things that I sell really work. So, Gary?
We're starting today with the Skype conference here, and we're connected together. I'm in Amsterdam. Joel is in Connecticut. I've got the jet lag. He doesn't. However, I get to see all the cool stuff, and he only gets to virtually see them. But this is a good test because you actually get to check us out at ravepubs.com and watch our coverage from there. First off, what has caught your attention, and what do you think of the show so far?
Myself?
Yeah.
Well, I have a whole load of questions for you. And the first one is not the show itself, but the travel over. With the situation that's going on, is there more visible security around ISE this year?
There isn't. And before we came, I was a little concerned about that. And I, of course, talked to Paul DeGrassa. Do you remember him? He's a friend of ours that works at Extron. I asked him his opinion about how he thought the tension was. And he's like, we don't have any issues here in the Netherlands, and we haven't seen any difference, and don't worry about it. And so far, we've been here and have not seen any security difference. It was easy getting through the airport, going through security. They didn't even look at my passport hardly. I probably shouldn't say that on video, but they just let me through, and everything was great. And of course, the Dutch people love Americans, and the Americans love the Dutch, and we love the Europeans, so I don't see any issues.
It's one of my favorite cities in the whole world. It's almost as good as the one I live in. Anyway, so you got there, yesterday?
We got there. We got here Sunday, and it's now Tuesday. So
great. How's the crowd?
Okay, so they already broke an attendance record. They're already going to have
really?
Yeah, they're already going to have more people than last year. I actually know the number, but I'm not allowed to say. But they're already going to break the number from last year. The crowds are the aisles are definitely tighter, and of course the show is bigger. There's 2 additional halls this year than there were last year, so they're definitely going to chalk this one up to success. And there's certainly one thing I've noticed, Joel, and you would have noticed this if you were here, and you may have noticed this from our online coverage, is that, and by the way, our coverage is at ravepubs.com/ISE2017. One thing I've noticed is that there's more new products this year than there have been in a lot of years in the past, and I think that shows that we've come completely out of the recession.
Really? And I mean, people are excited about it? People are enjoying the show?
People are really excited. I'm going to talk about some of the products they're most excited about, but people are nervous and excited at the same time. They're nervous about the impact of the network, but they're confident they can do it.
Well, I had a bunch of products. I've been reading all your coverage, and I've been talking to friends at manufacturers. So I got a lot of the early scoop just like you did, but there's a few things that I wanted to ask you about. But first, Gary, I know you're always chomping at the bit. What have you seen that you really, really liked?
Well, first of all, the Cisco Spark board came through. Cisco has a great product with that, and of course, for those people that have bought into the Cisco ecosystem, it's going to be a plug-and-play product. They're going to drop it in. They're going to put, it's coming like you're going to put hundreds and hundreds of these things in, and some dealers and integrators will put thousands and thousands. If you haven't bought into the Cisco ecosystem, it's going to be a harder purchase to make, only because you've got to buy into that ecosystem, the Spark platform that's behind it all. The nice thing about it is, however you're connecting, laptop, tablet, phone, Spark board, whatever, wherever you're located, you get the same content simultaneously everywhere, and you get the ability to dial up anybody without having to remember all the phone numbers and codes and all the video conferencing jargon. But listen, one thing that they're gonna pull off is this is the first product in probably a half a dozen years that any video conferencing company, traditional video conferencing company, has had that is going to switch customers. Over the last 5-6 years, in my opinion, and you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like Cisco people were Cisco people, Polycom people were Polycom people, Logitech people were Logitech people, and so on and so forth.
I'm two of the three.
What's that?
We're Polycom and Cisco.
And this particular product would get people to switch. This is one of those products that will change that.
I've been playing with one, and it really is. It's a neat thing, but like you said, you have to buy into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And some of my clients are doing that. My own company can't, because we're heavily addicted to a couple of web-based systems that don't fit in Spark.
Right.
And the big competitor for Spark is going to be, with the one people are asking about even more than Spark board in public is the Google Jamboard.
Interesting. Yeah, the
and
Google Jamboard. I don't know what is the price on that, Joel.
$5,000.
Okay, and that includes everything, and it's only in a couple of sizes though, right?
It's only in one right now, 55.
Okay.
But there's another one coming. But just like the Cisco board, you must then buy into the Google ecosystem.
Yeah.
All sharing is done via Google, right? So it's all Google Docs based.
Yeah.
So either one of them is going to ask you to adopt a platform as opposed to some of the multi-purpose boards that are out there.
Yeah, and Google is conspicuously absent here at the show. They're not here. They're not even showing the product. When I talked to when I talked to Jason McGraw about it, he didn't know about the product, and I said you should get them to exhibit at InfoComm. You know, Google's coming from a different side of the market, right? We're coming from the traditional AV side. They're coming from a different side. You asked me about other products I'm impressed with. I can go on. There's some interesting things going on here. As you may know, Bose got into the audio conferencing market with their new product. Very impressive. It's going to do well. Bose comes from an audio background. They've got some really good technology behind it, and of course it integrates really well with everything that they have. But the user interface side of it and the design side of it is really simple, and I think that's going to appeal to people and sort of dumbing things down. QSC is going to do really well with their new stuff. I mean, they have an interesting demo here at the show that's probably 5 years, well, maybe not 5 years, 3 years ahead of its time, where they're showing everything on the network, and they're saying, look, this is the way they've literally taken the control system out of their product and put it into an external server, like a standard server you like put on any network. They're actually showing on a Dell server, but they say you can put on any server. That's going to be big. Crestron launched AV over IP products here at the show, so you'll actually be able to run everything through a network. It's a 10 gig network. They're saying that you can do it through without compression. Although if you calculate the numbers, you'd have to be doing some compression because 4K at 60, 8-bit color is somewhere around 12, 13 gigabit network, and they're doing it through a 10 gigabit network. There has to be some compression, although they're saying it's completely lossless. But there's a number of companies that have those. And if we were talking offline, you and I, there are half a dozen companies that are launching Barco ClickShare competitors, including Vivitech, including Sony, including Kennex Pro, including a handful of other companies. And Barco themselves, interestingly enough, has launched a new ClickShare, the CSE 800. So that market's going to be flooded with a lot of products and a lot of technology, and that's a different way to approach room design. So I think those are the things I've seen so far on day one.
Well, you know, it is technically possible to compress video fairly significantly lossless, and that's just by not repeating repeated pixels, which, I mean, it's part of what we do in video conferencing all the time.
Yeah.
So, they can get it down to 10, but my question will be, is that all going to be proprietary Crestron?
That's a good question. Yeah, they're saying it is proprietary. So you got to buy into the Crestron ecosystem. It's not compatible with third-party products. They're not using AppDivision like a lot of other companies are using to do that. They've got their own stuff, and they're using their own. It's not their own technology. They're using another company, but it's not the AppDivision. So yes, it is somewhat proprietary, I guess you'd say. And of course, that's natural, and that's what you would expect because, of course, Crestron owns sort of the beginning, the middle, and an end. And they want to keep the beginning, middle, and end. I don't blame them. I'm not saying that they're making the wrong decision by any means.
No,
that's the way they would
obviously
go.
They're not making a wrong decision for them. You know, the question will be what the decision for the market's going to be.
Exactly.
But, you know, I mean, they did it with their digital media stuff, so, right. You know, might as well. Yep. And, you know, if they already have a line to launch while the rest of the market is catching up on open standards, then it makes sense.
There's actually a couple of companies, too, that I should mention that are along those lines, too. So, of course, Kramer, you know, they have AV over IP stuff that they launched at InfoComm first, and now they're finally shipping it. But they're also doing cloud-based control, which I think is kind of interesting. And there's this company that I stumbled upon here called Aveo, A-V-E-O Systems, started by a former Cisco or Polycom guy that has built like a control system inside of a touch panel. So the touch panel and the control system are one, and it's got limited control, but as long as the product is IP-based, you've got global cache converters, and you can control anything. And there's this sort of movement to sort of standardize the user interface of control, sort of like Cisco did on the Spark board in a way, right? I mean, where if you're using third-party control systems, you can use it with the Spark board, but the user interface is going to be the Spark platform user interface. That's kind of what they're doing. So I think this whole concept of buying into our ecosystem. Everyone kind of wants to own their own ecosystem, which is logical, but ultimately our industry is going to grow outside of that when everybody's
Right.
playing with each other. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, eventually open standards win. But, in the early days of almost anything, if you've got a full line that's proprietary, you can introduce it. The question is how long can you hold it? And they are going to have to compete with AV Phenom's, voice repeater.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to have to compete with the plain old remote control. That's funny that you mentioned that blog. And if you're interested in reading that, AV Phenom or Mark Coxon has a blog on our site. Talks about he's invented something better than voice control, and it's a thing called this handheld remote control. It's kind of funny play on things.
It's funny.
We laughed out loud at the office. Almost as funny as your blogs. You have the best funny blogs, and you have what's great about your blogs. You have funny blogs and you have dry humor blogs. And the cool thing is, a lot of us don't get the dry humor until months later when you posted the blog, and then it comes back. We're like, wait a minute, that was really funny, Joel. 3 months later, we figured it out.
That one, the first 3 or 4 lines, I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? And then I realized it was a joke.
Yeah.
But you could tell Mark that there is a video on the web of a Siri talking to an Alexa. And it's great. They ask each other questions. They get carried away. I mean, and they literally you can set it up. I tried the experiment myself, and it does work. You can get them talking to each other.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the big things I see here on the floor is voice-activated or gesture-activated control.
Oh, sure.
So I don't know a lot about it yet, but I've kind of walked by some booths that have been promoting it, and I'll hopefully have some more time to talk about it tomorrow. But this is the first day. The first day is the day you walk the least amount around the show, where you actually get the least accomplished, I guess is probably the best way to put it. You see a lot, but you don't actually talk to a lot of people because there's just so many people, so many things going on. So I hope that you'll join me again tomorrow and we can do another podcast and talk about this, because I think this is a cool way to do it rather than me just sitting and talking in front of a camera. So I appreciate you doing this, Joel.
I was actually going to bring up the whole challenge of voice versus gesture control. I'm a gesture-based guy because of my work in virtual reality.
Yeah.
But it's definitely coming along to, there's going to be a no-touch interface.
Yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of what people like, the Kurzweil people have done with gesture tracking, and it's amazing. How's VR shaping up at the show?
There's not a lot here. There's not as much as I thought there would be. I saw some augmented reality in the Epson booth and a little bit of virtual reality, but again, I have not had a chance to really kind of work the whole show. So I'm going to hold that off until we do a later podcast, video cast.
Well, it's gotten kind of to be a geeky world there, because Google and Apple and Facebook aren't, Oculus Rift aren't exhibiting in the AV shows yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Epson does have like an Oculus Rift kind of competitor product. But again, they showed me a demo of augmented reality where all it's doing is translating, if you're in a movie or in a play or in a museum, translating, so you could wear this headset or these glasses, I guess you'd say, that augmented the speech with whatever language you wanted in real time, which was kind of cool, because it had the smarts to decipher the language and convert it in real time, and it was 99% accurate. So it was pretty good. But again, this is new. I mean, this is all stuff that I didn't have a chance to really spend a lot of time with it. But again, I hope that you and I can talk each day and kind of go over what I noticed. So the highlights of today are Spark board, breaking attendance records, a lot of ClickShare competitors, and all of it is sort of wrapped up on our site at ravepubs.com. And also, by the way, I did a live video launch of the Spark board. Literally, the EMEA launch of the Spark board was live on our Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/ravepubs, you can actually see that launch live right now on our Facebook page, and the video is there. It's about a 15-minute video, and we literally demo the Spark board and talk about the products there.
Let me ask you one thing about all the ClickShare clones, and we should probably, it's like Kleenex, we probably shouldn't refer to it that way.
Yeah.
But has anybody got a dongle like that that's now two-way? Because one of the issues that we have with conference rooms is want to be able to connect the conference room's cameras and microphones into the computer at the same time as we're connecting the display.
No, but that's coming.
Didn't think so.
Yep. Nope, that's coming.
I just won a bet with my systems installation manager who thought there would be one there.
Nope, not yet,
So,
but it's coming. But I think that you're going to see it quickly, certainly by InfoComm, I think, or soon after. So.
okay,
Well,
great.
cool, Joel. Thanks for joining me, Joel. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah, and we're going to do this every day, so come back every day. And of course, Joel is our podcast. He does a number of podcasts with us, and of course, he'll be live with us at InfoComm in Orlando in the second week of June. And of course, we'll be doing this every day while we're here at ISE. And of course, if you want to read all of Joel's posts, you can go to our website, ravepubs.com, click on Blog Squad, and then drop down Joel's name. You can see every post he writes for us, and he's a nerd like me, so we'd make a good couple here.
Well, I'm not a nerd exactly like you, Gary.
We're
no one is. And I don't know the Star Wars trivia. And,
but
anyway,
you're learning it.
Anyway, Gary, this is great, and I will be up all night following what you're doing.
And thank you very much.
We'll talk to you again tomorrow, probably a couple times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If we can, we can. I'd love for you to. So this is Gary Kayye. If you want to watch all the coverage from ISE, ravepubs.com/ISE 2017.
And I'm